We all know how tough it is dealing with rising rents. But what if it's not just landlords raising your housing costs? What if the ground itself is sinking? In China, something astonishing is happening. Almost half of the country's cities, in an area bigger than Texas, are gradually sinking. Yes, megacities and bustling hubs are quietly slipping away beneath people's feet. Could this mean millions will become climate refugees right in their own homeland? Or will China get to the bottom of this mysterious sinking and find a fix? Over the last few decades, China has seen a massive shift. Hundreds of millions of people have moved from the countryside to big cities, drawn by dreams of better jobs, modern lifestyles, and new opportunities. Cities like Beijing, Shanghai, and Shenzhen have become symbols of China's growth, filled with skyscrapers, high-speed trains, and endless construction. But all this rapid urbanization comes with its own risks. As these cities grow, they face serious problems, from pollution and overcrowding to the risk of natural disasters. So the big question is, can China's cities overcome these dangers, or will they buckle under the pressure? For many people in China, moving to a city is like a ticket to a new life. Cities offer better jobs, higher wages, and modern conveniences that simply aren't available in rural areas. Over the past 40 years, cities have grown incredibly fast, changing almost overnight. Just think about Shanghai, which transformed from a port city into a global financial hub, or Shenzhen, which went from a fishing village to a bustling tech city. But while these changes are exciting, they also bring new challenges that affect everyone in the city. As more people flood in, the pressure of housing, transportation, and public services keeps growing. One of the biggest challenges of this rapid growth is infrastructure. Things like roads, bridges, public transit, and utilities. Many of China's cities were never built to handle the huge populations they have now, and the result comes in the form of crowded buses and trains, traffic that barely moves, and water systems struggling to keep up. In Beijing, for example, it's common to get stuck in hours-long traffic jams. With so many people in one place, there's simply not enough space or resources to go around. This strain shows up in everything, from crammed subway cars to shortages of clean water. Pollution is another huge issue in China's cities. For years, rapid industrialization was prioritized over environmental protection, leading to serious air and water pollution. Smog has become a common sight in cities like Beijing, where air quality often drops to hazardous levels. Breathing this air every day is like smoking a pack of cigarettes, and it has serious effects on people's health. The problem doesn't stop at air pollution either. Rivers and lakes near big cities are often filled with industrial waste, making it hard to find clean water. As a result, pollution is not just an environmental problem, it's a public health crisis. Besides man-made issues, China's cities also face the risk of natural disasters. Floods, earthquakes, and typhoons are all common threats, especially as climate change makes weather patterns more extreme. Many cities are built near rivers or in earthquake zones, making them vulnerable. For example, cities along the Yangtze River frequently experience heavy flooding, which can cause billions of dollars in damage and put lives at risk. The high population density in urban areas makes it even harder to deal with these disasters, as there are more people and more buildings in harm's way. To respond to these risks, China has poured money into building flood defenses and improving emergency response. But nature is hard to predict. Now, another huge issue is that as cities grow, they also become more unequal. Not everyone who moves into a city finds a good job or a comfortable home. Many migrants work in low-paying jobs and live in crowded, substandard housing. In China, the hukou system, which links people's access to social services to their place of birth, adds to the problem. Rural immigrants often don't have the same access to healthcare, education, or housing as city-born residents, even if they lived in the city for years. This creates a divide, where some people live in luxury while others struggle to get by. The tension between these groups can lead to social issues, and it's a problem that cities will need to address if they want to be truly inclusive. While some cities are overcrowded, others are strangely empty. These so-called ghost cities are huge developments with roads, high-rise buildings, and parks, but very few residents. Built as part of government efforts to drive economic growth, they look impressive from afar but lack real demand. Cities like Ordos are filled with empty apartments and office spaces, which creates a stark contrast to the packed streets of Beijing or Shanghai. These ghost cities raise questions about planning and sustainability, especially as they stand as reminders of overambitious urban expansion. Crowded city life also brings unique health risks. The recent COVID-19 pandemic showed just how quickly diseases can spread in densely populated areas. But infectious diseases aren't the only concern. Daily life in a crowded, busy city can take a toll on both physical and mental health. Many urban residents suffer from respiratory issues due to pollution, and stress levels are high because of the fast-paced lifestyle. For China's elderly population, the health challenges are even greater, as cities are often not equipped to support them in terms of healthcare and accessible facilities. For China's elderly population, the healthcare challenges are even greater, as cities are often not equipped to support them in terms of healthcare and accessible facilities. This poses a serious issue as China's population continues to age. To manage these challenges, China has turned to technology. The concept of smart cities is becoming more popular, where data and artificial intelligence are used to make cities run more smoothly. For example, in Hangzhou, a city brain uses AI to monitor traffic, predict congestion, and manage traffic lights, helping reduce gridlock and pollution. Other cities are experimenting with technology to improve emergency response times and make public services more efficient. While these advancements are promising, they also bring up issues around privacy, as more and more personal data is collected to make these systems work. Nevertheless, technology may offer solutions to some of the infrastructure problems that cities face. As pollution and climate change become harder to ignore, China has launched green initiatives that make cities more sustainable. Projects like sponge cities aim to help cities absorb rainwater more effectively, reducing the risk of floods. At the same time, cities are investing in renewable energy, electric buses, and bike-sharing programs to cut down on pollution. Beijing and other cities have also implemented stricter rules on emissions from factories and cars. These efforts represent a shift towards environmentally friendly planning, but there's still a long way to go before China's cities can be considered fully green. Aside from the government programs, local communities are also stepping up to make cities safer and more livable. Grassroots organizations work on various projects, from promoting recycling to setting up support networks for elderly residents and low-income families. These community-led initiatives help fill gaps in government policies and create a sense of connection among residents. In many neighborhoods, residents come together to clean up public spaces or organize social events, strengthening community bonds. Such efforts may seem small, but they are an important part of making cities more resilient and enjoyable places to live. Ultimately, the biggest challenge is to make these rapid growth cities places where people can not only live, but thrive. Economic growth has been a priority, but now cities need to focus on quality of life. This means building infrastructure that can handle large populations, tackling pollution, and addressing social inequalities. Achieving this balance is no easy task. It will require coordinated efforts from the government, private sector, and citizens themselves. But if China's cities shift their focus toward livability, they can set an example for urban cities around the world. As China's cities continue to grow, their ability to overcome these urban dangers will be put to the test. Government initiatives, technological advances, and community efforts are all steps in the right direction, but there is no quick fix. The road ahead will likely involve trial and error as cities explore different approaches to manage their challenges. If China can find a way to balance economic growth with sustainability and social well-being, its cities might just become models for others to follow. Only time will tell if China's cities can truly overcome these urban risks, but this journey will shape the future for millions of people, both in China and beyond.